with me, Dad.
Okay, honey. What's under my bed?
Time for bed, said Grandpa. I hope that story wasn't too scary for you.
Oh, no, said Mary Ann. Not for us, said Louie.
Sleep well, said Grandpa.
Would you leave the door open a little? Said Mary Ann. Or a lot, said Louie.
Certainly, said Grandpa. Good night.
I didn't believe that story, did you? Said Mary Ann. Of course not, said Louie. Especially the monster part. And the screaming part, said Mary Ann. Do you hear something? Asked Mary Ann a few minutes later. Like what? Asked Louie. Like something coming up the stairs, said Mary Ann. It's nothing, said Louie. Look at that shadow on the wall, said Mary Ann. Here it comes. It's getting bigger, said Louie. The door opened wide. It was only Leonard wagging his tail. For a while it was quiet. Then Mary Ann said, I think there's something under my bed. There's nothing under your bed, said Louie. How do you know? Said Mary Ann. I just know, said Louie. Take a look, said Mary Ann. I'm too tired, said Louie. I bet you're afraid to put your feet over the edge, said Mary Ann. No, I'm not, said Louie. He started to get out of bed. Louie stepped on Leonard. Leonard jumped and howled. Mary Ann yelled. Then they all ran downstairs.
Well, hello, said Grandpa. What seems to be the trouble?
Something was under our beds, said Mary Ann.
Is that so? Said Grandpa. Why, the very same thing happened to me once. It was long ago, when I was visiting my grandparents. I was about your age. The house was strange. I was a little bit scared on my way to bed. As I went up the stairs, glittery eyes stared at me through the window.
Those were probably just fireflies, Grandpa, said Louie.
Perhaps you're right, said Grandpa. My room was at the end of a long, long hall. I went into my room, put on my pajamas, picked up a book, and read for a while. Suddenly, I realized I had forgotten to look under the bed. I worked up my nerve and took a peek. It was awful. A creature with wild hair, no head, and a long tail was standing there.
But, Grandpa, said Mary Ann, wasn't that your shoes and your bathrobe and your hairbrush just where you had left them?
Why, that's just what it was, said Grandpa. I got back into bed. Then I heard some horrible sounds. Little creatures on stilts. They went nick, knock.
Grandpa, was there a big grandfather clock in the hall? Said Mary Ann.
Why, yes, there was, said Grandpa.
What did it sound like? Said Mary Ann.
Oh, said Grandpa, I see what you mean. I closed my eyes. A huge and terrible bird flew in. I could feel its feathers on my face.
Probably not a big bird, Grandpa, said Louie.
No, said Grandpa. Then what could it have been?
A few moths, said Louie.
Just what it was, said Grandpa. But then, outside my window, I heard pirates fighting with swords. Clash, clash.
Probably some cats jumping on garbage cans, said Mary Ann.
Probably, said Grandpa. Then the bats came in. I could hear them fluttering all around me.
Wait, said Louie.
Yes,
said Grandpa. Could it have been the wind fluttering the pages of your book? Said Louie.
Not only could have been, said Grandpa, it was.
You should have closed the window, said Mary Ann.
Just what I did, said Grandpa.
All quiet after that? Asked Louie.
Yes, said Grandpa. Until the ghost started wailing and moaning.
You should have shut the window tighter, said Mary Ann.
Right you are, said Grandpa. I got up and shut the window tighter.
Safe at last, eh? Said Louie.
I thought so, said Grandpa. But then I heard the skeletons climbing up the side of the house. Their bones were creaking as they climbed.
Were you scared, Grandpa? Said Mary Ann.
Indeed I was, said Grandpa.
You shouldn't have been, said Mary Ann. It was the branches of the tree creaking in the wind.
How did you know? Said Grandpa. Well, I was getting hot, so I foolishly opened the window again.
Not a good idea? Said Louie.
No, said Grandpa. The light blew out.
Were you scared in the dark, Grandpa? Said Mary Ann.
Just until I got used to it,
said Grandpa. Then you felt better? Said Louie.
No, worse, said Grandpa. Then I could see what was coming in the window.
Such as? Said Mary Ann.
Oh, said Grandpa. Goblins, witches, spiders, giants, monsters, dragons, slitherers and creepers, leeches that wriggled, wretches that giggled, peaches that screeched, creatures that reached and pinched and poked, nibbled and dribbled, snapped and stomped and squished. Scratchers and catchers, growlers and howlers, things that were smelly or shaky like jelly. Suddenly, they all started chasing me. I ran out the door. I could hear something coming after me. I ran from one room to another and down the halls. I ran upstairs and down. Finally, I stopped to rest. I looked behind me. Nothing was there.
So, you were safe and sound, Grandpa?
No! That's when they grabbed me!
Who? What?
What seems to be the trouble, lad?
We heard you running around.
Why, it was only my grandpa and grandma. They thought maybe I was hungry. They gave me a big bowl of strawberry ice cream. I felt much better.
Do you have any ice cream, Grandpa?
Wouldn't hurt to take a look.
The end.
Thank you, Dad.
You're welcome, sweetheart. You want to pick another one?